Hello, everyone, and welcome to Next Gen and Lodging, the first episode of the year. So, Happy New Year to everyone. Can't believe it's 2025 already. My name is Davon Rees, one third of Next Gen and Lodging. We are a monthly podcast. We are powered by Hotel News Now, which is also a part of CoStar. And my other co-hosts, Christopher Henry and Amari Head, won't be with us this podcast episode. So you'll have me again, Davon Rees, one of the co-hosts. But we're going to do something different. We're going to talk about hotel, international hotels on the boutique side. So we are here with our special guests. We have Bruce and Kameko Burdine. It took me maybe a year to say their last name correctly. And so hopefully I got it right this time.
You did. You did.
I was saying it wrong for like a year and they never corrected me until finally when they introduced themselves, I was like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. So anyway, so we have Bruce and Kameko. Their story is very interesting. Met them a couple of years ago, and they are. Let me hush. Y'all don't want to hear from me. Y'all want to hear from them. So Bruce and Kameko, please introduce yourselves and let everyone know who you are.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kamiko, and my husband is Bruce. And we are real estate investors. So we have been investing since 2019 in the U.S. We have a portfolio of Airbnbs here in the U.S. And then we met Davon and got interested in sort of the hotel game. And we were like, let's figure out how we can expand. And so that's kind of how our real estate journey has started. By day, we are practicing anesthesiologist assistants. So that is our daytime job that helps us pursue our lifetime goal of being real estate moguls.
Now, Bruce, I think I
Yes.
overheard you say that you worked in a hotel.
So when I was younger, I did. I was definitely a front desk person at a Hyatt place, and then I transitioned into the night auditor, which I absolutely loved. Loved that job. So yeah, that was my introduction to the hotel and hospitality industry. Ever since then, I just kind of knew that I wanted to be in real estate, and then when I was able to actually uh, jump in the game with both feet. We just started doing short term rentals and loved it. And just like my wife said, we wanted to scale. And the quickest way to scale is to have multiple keys and multiple doors in one spot. And the definition of that is a hotel.
Now, another question for you, Bruce.
Yes.
When you were at the front desk at the Hyatt place, go Hyatt. I'm Team Hyatt. I used to work there too, started up as a front desk agent too. So, did you ever think that you would be owning a hotel?
Absolutely not. I thought the idea of owning a hotel was for the ultra rich. And I
Yeah.
thought you needed, $50 million, you know, just to get your foot in the door to buy a hotel. That's just what my thought was. Like, this is a huge place. Like, I can buy a single family home for 150. This is a 200 key hotel. That's got to be at least 20, 30, 40 million dollars. That's the way my brain thought.
Now, Kameko, when you started off what was your first real estate entry? Was it with, your husband, or did you invest in real estate prior to meeting your husband?
So my dad had a rental unit, a duplex, when we used to live in Cleveland. So that was kind of like my very first introduction to real estate and, long-term rental and renovation and that kind of stuff. And then my very first investment was I house hacked while I was in anesthesia school. So I bought a condo with, help from parents. Not going to lie, I did not do it on my own. I had help with the down payment. And then I rented out the extra bedrooms to help reduce my mortgage cost or how much I had to pay out of pocket. So that was like my first personal investment. And then we ended up being able to sell that condo for almost a $90,000 profit down the road. So that was my first introduction, and then we really hit the ground running when we met while we were in school, and did our first Airbnb together. So
I love it. And you never thought either about owning hotels, correct?
no, not at all. I knew people like owned hotels, but my I was like the same way. I was like, oh, like those are like the Hiltons, like that's Paris Hilton, and those are like the trust fund babies, and that's like it's too late, to really own a hotel at this point because everybody owns everything, and
Hmm.
that's how I thought about it. I was like, yeah, you're gonna be ultra rich or win the lottery, and then maybe you can go buy a hotel, but like who's gonna sell you one with no experience? So that was my thought about hotels. It had never really crossed my mind at all growing up.
Like a lot of people don't realize, including myself, when I was at the front desk, that you can actually that hotels are franchises, right? They're
Right.
either franchises, they're independent, and you just don't like. I'm pretty sure, like 85% sure, probably like 90% sure, Bruce, the Hyatt place you were working at was probably a franchise,
Oh,
right?
I guarantee you that it was. I just thought Mr. Hyatt owned it.
Exactly. Just like me. And it wasn't even Hyatt, it was Prisker. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
just in my
Yeah.
mind and I really thought it for because my hotel that I worked at was actually owned by the Pritzker family. It was a Hyatt owned property at the time. So I really just thought, the Marriott's owned by the Marriotts and the Hyatts and then the Hiltons. I mean, that's just what I thought. And so fast forward, how many years did it take you from getting into, Airbnb investing to now moving into hotel investing?
So it took us about 3 years for us
Nice.
to get into it. Yeah, we were buying 1 to 2 short term rentals per year.
Yeah.
Really the traditional way, like saving the money, putting down a down payment, doing the rehabs, fixing up, buying the furniture, listing it. Um, and then we got a wonderful manager that we have now. And then we're like, okay, how can like I said, how can we scale this? How can we get more properties?
Yeah. And so we looked into all avenues. We looked into multifamily, like that was going to be our next purchase. We were like, we're going to do a quad, something that we could still get in with like a lowish down payment, renovate it, and, really bump up the amount of profit that we can make a month. But then COVID hit. And so all of the prices for homes went crazy. Then the interest rates went crazy. And we were like, okay, maybe that's not going to work. So then we started looking into, okay, maybe we can invest in like a REIT for like an apartment building, or maybe we can get in as an LP on a hotel. And so that's when we really started looking hard at hotel hospitality as opposed to being a landlord.
Now there's a lot of regulations. So when Airbnbs first came out, right, the hotel industry, I don't think they did a good job of taking into consideration that or short-term rentals would be a threat to the industry. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like a fad, just like they said it, OTAs or online travel agencies and Expedia is still here and we have to give them a percentage of our revenue, right?
Hmm.
Or a percentage of our rate. And so with the regulations that are in place, so the American Hotel Lodging Association and different associations and lobbying associations for the hotels industries, and not even just the hotel association, also neighborhood communities have been, really working hard in putting together regulations that would put more of a restriction on short-term rentals, which affected a lot of short-term rentals, owners
Hmm.
who really had to downsize. And so now I'm even starting to see it more and more where people are creating boutique hotels, maybe like converting a multifamily into a boutique hotel, not necessarily a franchise, but maybe because it's not big enough for a franchise, but it still is larger. It's larger than a bed and breakfast, so it's a boutique hotel. Did with Airbnb, I guess that's a long-winded way of saying and asking, did regulations or short-term rentals regulations, did they have anything to do? And I know it's state by state, market by market, city by city, but did that have anything to do with you wanting to get into the hotel ownership space as well?
Yeah, I think what happens is that we were looking at expanding, and we were looking at different states. We were looking at Tennessee. We were looking at New York. We were looking at some other venues, but Um, we were looking at Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but it was super saturated at that moment. We were looking at doing something in New York, and then we read the laws in New York, which you really there are not Airbnb or short term rental friendly,
Mhm.
right? So then we're like, okay, well, we even looked back in my hometown, which is Nashville, and Nashville is not Airbnb
Yeah,
friendly.
they started to crack down a lot.
Yep. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
then our
Same thing with
thought was,
Atlanta. Yeah.
yeah, same thing with Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our thought
And
was
New
like,
Orleans too. New Orleans is like that too now. So it's a
yes.
lot of places that are cracking down on short term rentals.
So like we thought, is this going to be a trend? Like, is this trending? Like,
Hmm.
is this going to even affect the ones that we have now in Florida? Right. Like, so we're like, okay, so do we keep buying in Florida? Like, we know it's friendly now, but will it be friendly in the future? And do we stick all of our eggs in one basket if a regulation does come down? What are we going to do? What's our exit strategy?
Hmm.
Right. And we're like, okay, let's pump the brakes on the Airbnb and the short term rentals, and let's look at something that has a long history of of friendly regulations, which
Yeah,
is
being
hospitality.
stable. Yeah.
Now, Kamiko, you mentioned earlier how you were a limited partner at LP or thinking about becoming LPs in the particular or in hotel investment opportunities. What made you decide? What made you all decide to actually, you know what, we don't want this to be an LP. We actually want to be a general partner of our own deal. And not only general partner of the own deal, you got into development on your first deal. And not only development, but international development. So you're like, you know what? Not only are we going to become hotel owners, we just going to be like, boom, we coming through straight force and we going to create our own brand while we at it on a whole different island. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are not known for taking the baby steps, I would say, as a couple. But we did a lot of research, and I think a huge part of us not continuing to buy in the US was because of COVID and the inflation and the interest rates and
The
the
regulations.
regulations that come with, developing and owning in the US. So we were very, very fortunate to have found Belize, and they're very investor friendly. It was a low entry. We were thinking about just doing a bed and breakfast. Like we were still on that mind track. And then we were able to get two lots right next to each other and contacted an architect, and they were like, yeah, you can go bigger if you really want to. And we were like, okay. So we looked into, what that might look like and the cost, and just started building the network and figuring out what it would really take to make that happen, and realized that we could do it. And so we were like, let's do it. So, I mean, it really was probably about like 3 to 6 months of this like decision making and sort of deciding to scale up. But I'm really glad that we're doing it and realizing that we had the capacity and the ability to do it as a couple, and to bring it to people to invest in. Like and I think another major thing is like we travel internationally a lot, and we haven't seen a place like we're building. And so that just makes us all the more passionate of making it happen.
We know what
So
we
what?
like.
Oh, go
We know
for
what
it.
we like when we travel. We're like,
Yeah.
how can we offer something that's more unique to the guest and
Hmm.
the guest experience? And we're all about experiences, you know?
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hotel can be a hotel, right?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
it's the experience, it's the feeling you get. Do you feel important? Do you feel like a VIP? And that's the experience that we're going to try to bring to our hotel, which is called Gaia, which is in Secret Beach, Belize.
Yeah.
And people pay for experiences, right? Because I'm really frugal when
Hmm.
it comes to certain things. But what I will spend money on is food. I will spend money on food. I will actually spend money on traveling because you know what the key word that you just said, an experience,
Hmm.
right? And when you have and the more you start, being around other people and see how other people travel, and if you pay a little bit more, you get certain things. And the more, I guess, busier you get, the more time you're like, I don't have time for this. So if you are in a space where the hotel, curates an experience where you don't have to think anything. You could just enjoy your time there and enjoy the culture. It's great. And, people pay for it, including myself, right? And so you all introduced me to Belize. And so how many, well, actually not you, it was an ambassador to Belize who actually introduced me to the Belize. And then I met you all and I was like, okay, I guess I really have to go because it's destined, right? And out of all of the 180 something countries, why did you choose Belize? You could have chose any other country in the world. You all say that you travel internationally. Why did you choose Belize?
Belize was Belize was a kind of like a rabbit hole find, honestly. Kamiko's parents were retiring to the country of Panama, and we wanted to buy a condo to be able to go back and forth and see her parents. And while I was online looking at Panamanian condos, some of the real estate websites had some Belize properties on there. So I just kind of looked at it. I was like, I kind of remember hearing about Belize. Where's Belize? I really didn't even know where it was.
Mm-hmm,
And then it was in Central America. And then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. I kind of researched it. I was like, can you buy? Because there was one point at a time that I was thinking about buying in Bali. But
mm-hmm.
Bali's a leasehold. So you can own the land for
Yeah.
99 years and then you basically give it back to the government. Right. And I was
Mm-hmm,
like, well, is Belize like that? And to come to find out, Belize, no, you own it in perpetuity. You own it. You can pass it down from generations to generation to generation. You own the land just
mm-hmm,
like you own the land in the US.
mm-hmm,
We loved it because it had low property taxes. We loved it because it had no capital gains taxes. We loved
mm-hmm.
the fact that it was the only English speaking Central American country where all the contracts and legal jargon is all in English. It's British common law. So all these factors, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And what's the cost to buying like a beachfront? And because I'm expecting 5, 6, $700,000 and come to find out beachfronts were selling for like 150, 250, somewhere around in that area when I first started looking. And I was like, we can get in on this. This is an amazing opportunity. Let's buy some property. So we literally started handpicking properties all throughout the island of Ambergris Key, which is in Belize, just to strategically pick some nice beachfront properties. And that's when we saw this one property that was a corner lot. We're like, man, it's the main thoroughfare to Secret Beach. You have to pass it. It's near all the most famous beach bars. We're like, we can put a little bed and breakfast here, and it would be amazing. So all that come to fruition, like we were just like, okay, so let's build it. Let's do it. Let's do a bed and breakfast, and that bed and breakfast grew into a
20 room.
20-room boutique hotel that we're
So
now
why did you decide to do a boutique independent hotel as opposed to a franchise hotel?
Part of that is, again, the experience. And we found that with the name brands, even if you just fly a flag or, do a partnership, they tend to have a lot of a say in what you can do and, what scents you can put in the rooms and what soaps you're going to use and the backhand, like, not backhand, but like the
back end
back of
like
house and like
yeah.
like who you're going to hire, what technology you have to use, what sites you can promote on. And we really felt like in order to create the experience that we wanted for our guests, we needed to start off independent and make it as unique of as a place as we could. So that was part of the reason why we decided not to fly a flag or to go with any major partnerships, and to really kind of do this adventure on our own.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait to check into your property. And I'm sure the folks who are listening are like, oh my gosh, we can't wait either. It sounds fun. So Bruce and Kameko, how can people stay in contact with you?
So we have our channel on YouTube, which is Blasian Station.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Bruce and Kameko, for being Next Gen Lodging's first guest of the year. Woohoo! I'm
Yay.
Thank you so much
excited.
for having us.
Yay! I'm excited. And so, yes, for all who are listening, thank you again for tuning in to Next Gen Lodging. We will see you next month. So make sure you subscribe so that way you can stay tuned when every episode drops. All right, we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm STR's Isaac Colazo.
And I'm co-stars Jan Freitag. And together we are the data geeks behind Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast on the Hotel News Now podcast network.
Every month, we bring you a fresh take on the latest hotel data, insights into the travel trends behind that performance, and the big picture topics you should be thinking about.
And we also don't mind getting into some good-natured disagreement from time to time. Hey, when Isaac and I start talking data together, anything can happen, and it usually does.
Find us on hotelnewsnow.com and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Search for Hotel News Now, and thank you for listening.
This episode of Next Gen and Lodging was recorded in January of 2025 and edited by Rachel Dobb. Look for this and more at hotelnewsnow.com.